This is my latest clock. It's one that surprised me in many ways when I built it. The design, the movement, is taken from a brass clock designed by Mr. Wilding, a very famous clockmaker. And I had bought his construction manual for the brass clock called Large Wheel Skeleton Clock. I changed the appearance of the clock a great deal and turned it into what my interpretation is, I guess, of an Art Deco design. And of course, instead of making it from brass, I made it from wood. And the surprising part to me was that I could make a woodenworks clock that would run as well as, perhaps, or nearly as well as a brass clock, at least for a short haul. I don't know yet, of course, how long it may last, because wood is not nearly as durable as brass. Still, the fact that it would run at all was a real pleasant surprise to me. I didn't know whether it would or not, but I thought I would just go ahead and build and see. So I did. There are, aside from the general overall appearance, there are several other small differences from the Wilding clock. First of all, he used a standard clock spring in a barrel, which is, of course, traditional. And I changed that to two constant torque springs, as you see right here. One, and on the other side over here is another one. And they both wind on the same drive spindle right in here. It those springs produce a great deal of torque. The clock is not easy to wind, but it lasts almost forever. I was just dumbfounded by how long the clock will run on a wind. I'm still not sure, because I have not done total testing on it, but I know that it's way in excess of 10 days. So that alone was enough to make me wonder a lot about the good fortune, I guess, that I had in building a brass clock from wood. One of the things that made it possible for me to do this, however, was the fact that I have been fooling around for a number of years trying to make the smallest possible gear teeth. And the teeth that I've made on this clock were cut on a CNC mill using a 3/64 end mill. The module, the English or imperial module, is 0.04, which is pretty close to a metric module of 1. So while it's bigger perhaps, or it certainly is bigger a little bit than the brass clock, the wheel here being almost a foot across, the big wheel, it has 290 teeth. And that 290 teeth wheel here drives a 16-tooth pinion up here. The original design was for an 8-tooth pinion, but I decided after putting it together using that small pinion that it was just too much. So I doubled the size of that, because that part of the clock, the driving part of the clock, is not in the timekeeping train, so it didn't make any difference. What did make a difference, and what allows this clock to run so long, is that the constant torque springs are very, very long. And you wind them and wind them and wind them, and you think you're never going to be through winding them until they come to the end of their useful length. And then they unwind very, very many turns. I figured the big wheel here, not the great wheel, but the big drive wheel here, turns 18 times. No, that's not right. It drives the great wheel 18 revolutions for 1 revolution of the big wheel, which is a pretty heavy-duty gear ratio. The escapement is a recoil escapement, and I had never made one of those before, and it took me some time to get it figured out and to get it running, but it does run and runs well, and it seems to want to keep on running. It can be pretty badly out of tick and still it'll run just fine. So anyway, this is my new wonderful new curly maple Art Deco clock. A real pleasant surprise for me that I was able to actually make the thing and to get it to work. And so now I'm showing it off to all the other crazy clockmakers who might be interested in such a thing. And I thank you for watching.